Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for yet another Dressing Your Truth video. So I have uploaded a few of these lately, and the last video I uploaded was mentioning that I was going to be having a video call with Tuttle, who created the Dressing Your Truth system. And I asked for your questions so I could be sure to ask her. So you guys know how much I love Dressing Your Truth and how excited I was to discover it and to start out with it, and I was so sure that I was a type 2 and it was fun and exciting. Very early into my experience with Dressing Your Truth, I actually had a dream, a very vivid dream, and in my dream I was talking with Carol, and Carol told me, "You are not a type 2, you are a type 3." And in my dream I was devastated and I was crying and I was basically saying, "Don't take type 2 away from me." And then I woke up and I was like, wow, that was just a dream, thank goodness. Fast forward a few weeks and that is exactly what happened. So I'm going to insert the video call in a minute, but before I show you that experience, I just wanted to mention, please excuse the fact that I look like a stunned mullet and possibly come across as slightly rude or contrary. I was absolutely reeling. Nobody could have been more sure of their type than I was, thinking that I was a type 2. Surprise, I'm a type 3. I thought I was a type 2 with a secondary 3, and it's actually the other way around. So I just wanted to point out that I didn't mean to be rude to Carol or ungrateful for her call, and I have since spoken with her and her team and made sure that they realize how grateful I am. What a privilege to have that information from Carol herself, and also so early into my Dressing Your Truth experience. At the end of this video, after I show you our call and why she says I'm a type 3 and why I thought I was a type 2 and all of that, I'm going to talk about how I felt about it, how I have been feeling about it, what I've done since, and all of that. So that will be after the call, but here is the call that we had.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Carol. It's so lovely to meet you.
Too, you caught my attention on your Instagram post when it's interesting. I felt really honored because when you look at your Instagram feed, you have a lot of photography of flowers.
I love doing that.
And there was this one image of you talking about dressing your truth, which I felt like, oh, I'm so honored.
Well, it's something I recently
her feed to talk about this program.
Yeah, well, my feed is I just share what I want to share, and while I mostly share photography and usually macro photography, Dressing Your Truth is just so huge for me at the moment, and I wanted to share more of that, and I wanted to connect with other people who are also experiencing Dressing Your Truth, and also to let people know about it. So I was like, never mind the pictures of flowers, this is coming in.
Well, that's a great gift for me. And the other thing that I'm cognizant of in the world of influencers, when you do have the passion for my program and you want to share it and share your experience, I want to make sure you're in the right place with it, which is there's 4 types in the Dressing Your Truth system, and they each are referencing a quality of movement, what I call your innate nature, what is a quality of expression that you're born with that is meant to be, when honored in your childhood, you develop a personality that aligns with it. And quite often we're not in sync with our kind of what we think our personality is and the actual natural movement we exhibit. And I've felt the need to step in. I actually commented on your post and thanked you and just said, I'd love to have a chat with you about your type. Yeah, and that's what really got this going. That was only last week at the time of this recording. And so you've profiled yourself as a type 2, which is in the quality of movement that expresses, it's a soft, subtle, relaxed, flowing quality of movement. In nature, we'd say it's a deep flowing river. It's a cascading, soft flowing waterfall without, that it's just a soothing quality. It's a willow tree. It's anything with elongated S curves. And a type 2 person, because this is a profiling system that you can apply to children, men or women, they have that quality in their thoughts, these sort of elongated thoughts where they're able to think things in steps way into the future or connect things way in their past. And they have a soothing, calming quality in their whole presence when they're living their truth. They look best in muted color tones and details in their accessorizing. And so you identified with that. Tell me why you think you're a type 2.
Just looking right back, my whole life, I've experienced things emotionally, and I've been aware of that. And sometimes I wished I wouldn't experience everything emotionally. I'm sensitive emotionally. I can be sensitive physically. And even as a child, I was the one who would take my dummy, my pacifier, my blankie, and go and climb into my bed and have a nap. Like, I didn't need to be put down for a nap. I would just take myself off and do that. Just often when I listen to Anne, your daughter, and she mentions things, I go, I do that too. It's just every time I think, am I type 2? There'll be something else that confirms it. Even the willow tree is a significant symbol for me.
Okay.
So when I read that, I was like, there you go. There's just so many things. I should have probably had a list prepared, but I just tick so many of the boxes, and it resonated so hard with me. And I really know myself, and I really trust myself. So I just feel that I'm a type 2.
Okay.
This is the part we either agree or disagree.
The one assessment tool you did not include in that I feel is at the top of the list of getting a correct assessment is your face profiling and your
Yes,
body
I did face profiling as well, and particularly I looked at my photos from when I was a baby or child, and thought about things that were spoken about me as a child. I was often called sweet. I was often called shy.
What was let's just say on a scale from 0 to 10, based on what we consider a more healthy environment in our world today of a family system, what degree of dysfunction would you, like mine would have been around a 10, my family system was not a healthy system that supported a child living true to themselves. Where would you put your, the environment of your family experience as a child?
In terms of dysfunction?
Yes.
7, 8.
Okay, so we're going to say it's skewed to you not always feeling safe or free to be yourself. Okay, yeah. Big factor here.
And I think that was a coping mechanism for me, was to be the good girl. Don't let anyone, don't set anybody off.
Okay.
And so I had to really unpick, is this me or is this from my experience in the past? And
I bring that up for the fact that that's why the body assessment, the features, both your physical features in your face and your body language, and hands actually become a factor in it too. The movement and the appearance of your hands, because they have very distinct lines and movement. I have on my YouTube channel all the face profiling videos for free. You can see what we're talking about. But the key here is when you don't have that freedom to develop a personality true to who you are as a child, you're more likely going to be misprofiling yourself based on looking at tendencies from your childhood and even tendencies you have now. And I know I've picked up through studying your material and just looking through what you're sharing with the world that you've dealt with some health issues.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another thing that will skew someone from being able to see their true self, because they're not operating true to their self, doing to a compromise on that level. Like if you looked at my childhood, you would have said I'm my secondary. I'm a type 3 with a secondary 4. Type 4 energy is very still, reflective, very obedient, very, it's either extremely rebellious because, no one's telling me what to do, or it's very aligned with, I'll do whatever I'm told and I'm going to just be the good, So I lived in my secondary energy because I had such a dysfunctional family system. I couldn't live true to myself. It was not safe and it wasn't encouraged. You are not a type 2. I know that. I know that 100%. You're a type 3. And I can tell you every reason why. I know that.
Okay.
And your face, first of all, has type 3 features very distinctly. You have,
I see some of those. Yeah.
Swift eyebrows. You have a similar appearance to Hillary Swank, who's a type 3. Your eyes are set on a V, like cat eyes. They're very dynamic. You have an asymmetrical quality that your features are kind of slant. You have, when you smile, your mouth pulls higher on one side than the other.
I've got the multiple smile lines.
And you've got this dynamic texture in your face with multiple smile lines. When I saw your video that you posted recently on your channel here, you were sharing your DYT. You were like a train. You were like a passionate type 3 that just, you'd never even had a break between your sentences. You were so excited to talk about this. You had an oomph in your expression. And a type 2 and never, that just isn't in them. That doesn't, their language never comes out that way. They have to pause to think, to kind of gather their thoughts again. They can't just go boom, 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 boom. You can, you have a drive, you have a passion for the things you care about. And I knew if I didn't step in and you were going to be so passionately sharing this, I'm like, uh-oh, we got to redirect your path, because I really want you to get the most benefit out of it. And it's, you know which type misprofiles themselves the most often as a type 2? A type 3 woman with a secondary 2.
Okay.
I have helped correct the course of hundreds and hundreds of type 3 women that have secondary 2 energy. That think
but what I don't understand is, obviously in all of this, I've looked at the different types. I've seen myself in both. I've felt I have a strong secondary 3. I don't like the colors, the patterns, the textures, the weight. The thought of wearing any of the type 3 things is stifling.
We've got to get you into lifestyle, our lifestyle content, where I bring in how you bring your secondary. We teach there's 5 elements in dressing your truth: design, line, texture, fabrication, pattern, and color. Type 2 colors are very washed out on you. They don't look elegant. They look faded on you. That's a telltale sign when if a woman's a type 1, 3, or 4 that dresses in type 2 colors, it looks frumpy, and the colors look just faded and worn. On a type 2 woman, they look elegant and just really beautiful. They come to life. But to me, you look very faded in this. It's casting some gray into your skin, because type 2s have a quality of gray in their colors. And we teach all this in my free beginner's guide. You learn all of these specifics that you can access easily. But the thing is that what happens when there was some early shaming going on, or you just didn't even try to be who you were because it was like, I can't, or if you have a type 3 parent that was really dysfunctional, it'll stir up some old wounding, and we have an aversion to that which we don't feel safe in. And I do a lot of healing. You know, we offer a lot of support resources to help women and men kind of heal these deep layers of hidden self that really want to come forward. But what you're telling me, I've heard hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And I've seen women move through it, trusting me and going, yeah, that I know what you're talking about. You'll have some women comment here on your channel that say, yeah, I went through that. I know what you're talking about. I didn't resonate with it at first.
Wow. I don't know what to say.
I think your health compromise has kind of doused your fire a bit. You've not been able to live to your degree of passion in life when you have a condition that has side effects, like, you know, where you want to get going in life. And type 3s notoriously, when we feel even a little bit better, will burn the candle at both ends and overdo it. And we're back in our funk.
It's funny because looking back at the health crisis I had and the amount of stress I had beforehand, I had PTSD, I had all kinds of issues, which resulted in severe adrenal fatigue and Hashimoto's and all these things. And looking back from the perspective of feeling I'm a type 2 and I understand my true nature now, and I wasn't living that, and that's how I ended up in that mess. And now you're telling me that's the complete opposite, that I shouldn't have been living type 2 anyway.
Well,
and
consider the possibility that your type 2 energy, when we have that need to retreat as a child to find our own safe place without parental nurturing, that your secondary, there's a real draw to that comfort, that safety. Does it feel safe to be type 2? Does it feel comfy? Yeah, I bet it feels all that to you. Is it you? Is it going to really bring your best self into like this real vibrant expression of life? It won't. But is there a value you've received from it? Definitely. Are you, and it adds a softened quality, because everyone has a secondary that plays into their dominant. And so with 3-1 is a much higher, it's sort of the more explosive expression of a type 3. A 3-2, and you've seen my daughter-in-law possibly in some of the videos, Sarah, who's a 3-2, she brings a softened quality to the type 3. We like to say she's very sensitive, very caring, but this woman has a heart of passion, and don't get in her way when she cares about something, when she's really aligned with what she's got a drive that will keep her going because of her passion for things. But compared to me, I'm a type 4 secondary, 3 with a secondary 4. You're going to find me to have a little more quality of being blunt, and just I'm a little more pointed in my expression. I'm not, Sarah's definitely considered a more, we're all sensitive as far as being civil human beings. And you're describing qualities that I would classify as someone that has empathic gifts, where you can be very sensitive to the energy of space and other people. That's not a type 2 specific tendency. Any human being can, I'm very much that way. Any type, any human can have that empathic addition, sort of a added on quality to their type.
Yeah.
You're going to look great. I promise you.
I don't want any of it though. I mean, I've always worn silver or...
I know. I had a lot of black and silver. I've heard it all. I really encourage you to trust me though, because you'll start to feel the shift in your own body. And you'll look amazing. You really will. How, may I ask your age? Do you share your age? I know that.
I'm 44.
Yeah, and you're gonna look 54 if you dress type 2.
Right, okay.
You don't want to look 54. I'm 62. I could look 75 in the wrong clothes.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what a lot to wrap my head around.
I do have an interesting video as part of our lifestyle content. Requires a small monthly membership fee and really my intention was to help you. I'm not here I'm just telling you this so you understand my world a little better, but we have a video called I Don't Like My Type, where it's a clearing session. And there's a lot of things from our past that are attached in a negative way to our own natural expression. And that's what blocks us from wanting to really embrace it. Because who wants to be considered, for type 3 women, they can be considered too loud, too pushy, too aggressive.
See, that's never been me. Yeah, that's what confused me, is that's never been me.
Well, you probably at a young age just really dialed it down. Like you said I can't add to the.
But I never felt that want to be like that.
I don't think it's a conscious choice when you're 3.
Yeah. You
do what you have to based on how you're taking your perception of what's going on around you. We start to adapt to our environments at a very, very early age, depending on the level of dysfunction we're dealing with, so that we're not making a conscious decision to do it. We just know it doesn't feel safe to really be myself. Right. So I've got to just kind of lay low here.
Okay. I mean,
I asked my mom years ago, what was I like as a child? And the way she described me was not being a type 3 child. And I said, well, that's because I was really wounded. And I really was living true to myself, because it wasn't descriptive of who I was meant to be.
Well, you've blown my mind. I have a lot to think about.
I want to get you, I'm going to have my team get you a lifestyle membership to give you the aid you need right now. Because you've got to, I want you to be able to even introduce yourself in that community, because and to get in the type 3 group, because you're going to meet a lot of type 3 women and know have gone through exactly where you're at right now.
Yeah,
And
I honestly could not have been more sure. I could not have been more sure.
And well, there's that. I mean, I come across this on a daily basis almost in my world. So
yeah, wow. Well, while I process some of that and I'm speechless on my own experience, can I present to you some of the questions that my viewers had for you? Because
I'm happy to look at any of your family members' pictures if we want to get them cleared up.
Yeah, maybe you should, because clearly I'm not that good at typing anymore.
It's a skill set. It takes some time to understand it. So
I was watching some of your Confirm My Type and the facial profiling and even in the hands. And I feel like my youngest, Noah, I don't know if you've seen any of my videos with him.
I haven't been able to see your children. I was looking around and I didn't see the family members.
He just, to me, so clearly type 3, like so clearly.
I can, so we don't take time now, I send pictures to my assistant, and we'll do that offline, and you're welcome to then share it as you choose to.
Okay.
Because we didn't prepare for that today.
Okay.
But we'll follow up, and I'd be glad to help you with that. And you're new. You're type 3. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Type 3s, we go all in. And we just want to go with it, we just really are excited to start experiencing it and not spend more time in the study, but it's like we learn by doing and by kind of picking up the pieces here and there and application of it. Very experiential in our learning process.
Yeah, but you see, those details are so important to me.
Yeah, well, you have that in you.
Okay, so how do
secondary too? So we'll make that.
How do you balance the secondary and primary, and how do you kind of keep them in balance and know when your primary is trying to take over and know how to not let that happen?
Again, I have a lot of content that helps you understand sort of those nuances, but when you're just when you're not thinking about who you think you need to be, you just naturally will be yourself. It's when your mind's overriding it and you're thinking, oh, I should have acted differently, or how do I need to behave in this place? We come across as our most natural selves and our healthiest selves when we feel comfortable and safe being ourselves. And so it's just a practice of that over time now that we have a point of reference, and then we can evaluate and say, boy, I really didn't feel comfortable today, or I didn't feel in sync with myself. What's that about? Or here's an old pattern playing out. And we have a lot of now self-reference to kind of just allow it to become an easy practice over time, where it's not, I've been teaching this for over 15 years. I don't have to think about who am I. I'm me.
Yeah.
Show being me. And I'm cognizant though in public settings and in groups of people, I'm mindful of the other types I'm with and how can I be honoring of them while I'm being me. I guess
the question would be, how do you learn how to be you when for so many years you've been a certain way or defaulted to a certain way of behaving or thinking? Or
that's just your mind's idea of who you think you are. It isn't necessarily true. I bet if I followed you around for a day, I'd be able to point out multiple, that's type 3, that's type 3, that's type 3. It's just your mind has a certain perception of who you are based on who you just became through the life experience you've had. But I doubt it's so all pervasive as you think it is.
Mm-hmm. You'll start. It's funny though, even yesterday I found myself reminding myself to be in type 2, and because I felt like my type 3 secondary was pushing forward now and again and thinking, no, that's not who I am.
Yeah, no, you want to.
Turns out.
You want to take it in, again, doses of allowing, because if you've had an autoimmune condition or anything that you can really blow the fuse fast, you can't overdo it, but you've got to allow yourself to have a certain quality of movement that's nurturing to your being without going too full on, because it'll just put you back, so it's a building of your energy. It's a building of your stability in being your true self.
Yeah.
I have 100% confidence this is going to be an easy shift for you, because you're going to you have a point of reference now. And you go, oh,
Yeah.
You may have a real narrow view of what you think type 3 is.
I probably do. And I've had that question from one of my viewers. She said something about oh, here we go. What do you do when you don't really like the colors for your type? I'm a type 4 and I don't care for many bold colors. So is that a case of...
Yeah, I think too, this isn't a color system. We teach there's the 5 elements: design, line, texture, fabrication, pattern, and color. And for each of the 4 types, there's a reference that we teach you in my beginner's guide of those 5 elements, which I call them. And so you could be missing the other elements for your color. And maybe you're a black and white type 4. Maybe you're a more demure type 4. And you're not the Vogue type 4 or the real boldly stated type 4. There's levels of it, and you've got to find your place with it, but you'll 100% always look better in the 5 elements true to your type. And there may be an acquisition of coming into harmony. As you come into harmony with your own true self, you start to really enjoy your design, your style more.
We're going to hold you to that promise.
I got plenty of people to back me.
Some more questions.
Give me a month.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is 30-day challenge starts all over again, and now I have no clothes.
Okay.
Okay, so Kimberly asked about hair. So she asked about the right pixie for type 2, how to get there, can all types wear a pixie cut? She says she's had short hair for over 20 years, and sometimes it can be too short and it's aging, and she's just wanting to know, like, how do you arrive on the right cut for your type, and can all types wear a pixie?
Yes, we have awesome video content that teaches every particular style. We have a hairstyle galleries. We have a video pixies for every type. We have lobs for every type. We have long hair for every type. There's a variable that you'll know in the cut and color and different things, ways you tweak it, that honors your own movement. So the answer to that is yes, and we can teach you those specifics so that you know. And I'm getting my time warning. I've only got a couple minutes here, so.
Okay, I'll just whiz through a couple more. A few questions about how to identify your secondary, incorporating that in your personal style. And one person asked when, where, and how to incorporate in every aspect of life, for example, relationships, jobs, personal growth, clothing, decorating, etc. So do you incorporate your secondary in all of those?
To a certain degree, it has a strong influence in your style that we teach you again, in that when you want to go kind of beyond the basics, our basics guide, our beginner's guide is free. When you want to learn how to really personalize DYT, your secondary is the biggest influence in your style. It's the best way to know your secondary based on your style preferences. And we give you lots of content to help you see those differences, to help you in that discernment. And then I do have video content that just says when it's too strong in your life in too many places, how does it, we have videos on if you're a secondary 1, secondary 2, what does that look like to create balance? And so again, the more awareness you have, the more you can have a point of reference for your own self. And as you keep fine-tuning that, it becomes a natural expression of you, so that you just get to live yourself feeling good every day, and your health really becomes your body rebounds. You just get healthier on all levels.
Okay, interesting. How much time do we have? 4 minutes. Okay, this question I thought was quite important, so I do want to jam it in at the end. Kay asked, what could mask your energy so that it's not easy to type yourself, for example, having psychological disorders? How does that
sound? A fair amount too. If you've had depression, any kind of what I reference as your brain is compromised, you're medicated, definitely those can be factors that will keep you from a clear reference to yourself. But again, your face doesn't get skewed. Your face, hands down, if you were to go into my community and ask that question, the bulk of the replies would be, use the face profiling, understand face profiling. And we do something really I'm a teacher. That is my background. I love to educate people. I want you to know what I know. So we spend time in my membership space that we do what's called confirm your type sessions. You basically got a truth bomb today. We call them truth bombs, where volunteers have been chosen and the community has a chance to share what type they think they are. Then I come in after a couple hours and I confirm their type, and then we'll explain and teach them why I'm seeing it the way. And sometimes those volunteers are correct and it's just an added confirmation and they wanted that, and the other times they weren't. And they're shocked, you know. I get the whole mind blown thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we call them truth bombs. You're like, oh.
Yeah, they're not comfortable.
No, I know. But they're timely.
Yeah, it needs to happen. And I'd rather it happen sooner than later, that I get on the right track.
Right.
It's just getting to the point where I can feel it here that it's the right track.
You will. And you'll understand your expression of type 3. That's the key.
Yeah.
Don't compare it, you know, even though there's a universal reference to what type 3 movement expresses as, there is the personalized quality of you as a human, as a female, as a woman with a life experience that brings your little personal, you're a snowflake type 3, meaning there's no other type 3 exactly 100% like you, but I guarantee you there's some things we do probably exactly the same every day of our lives.
Yeah. Wow. So long as you don't take away all my pajama chic, I'm really comfortable in my clothes.
You can feel cozy and comfortable all you want. We're not. You can keep taking your naps with a blanket. That's great.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. And I've got one last question. This is actually from a friend. She says, I'm overweight and I dislike shopping. Can this system work for me?
Oh, for sure. We see every color woman, every size, shape, age, everything in our community. I love that we all deal with the same, no matter our background, wherever we are on the planet, we have some similar sort of cultural issues we have to heal from being female in a time of sort of women really, our roles changing so dramatically over the lifetime of our mothers and grandmothers. And so I am the one that supports that to learn to love your body now without settling for something that you know, really to believe in that what you want, what you hope for can come to pass for yourself. But it's hard to achieve it if you're living in contradiction to yourself.
Yeah, I told her this will work for her because it will make it actually so much easier. Yeah.
It won't be about her size. It'll be about her truth, and say, I see so many women that have been trapped in that world that they can't feel beautiful until, you know, and they change their body. And my big part of my messaging is to stop the body shaming, to love, and to start to love your body, to want to really honor its beauty.
That's beautiful.
Oh.
Oh,
well, we'll keep in touch. I'm
out of time. Thank you so much for meeting with me today. Got a lot to process, and hopefully I'll see you in Lifestyle.
Yes, I'm there a lot.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. So that was the call, and after we completed our call, I immediately burst into tears. I was actually trying not to cry through the second half of that video. I was absolutely flabbergasted, and I felt devastated. I know it sounds dramatic. I felt devastated. It's funny now because I've really processed it a lot in the few days after that. So that was last Thursday and today is Monday, and I feel differently now, but on Thursday I could not have felt worse. I was so upset, and I want to be super crystal clear here. I was not upset at Carol for telling me the truth. That is, like I said, what a privilege that I got to have that from her, and I'm so grateful that she spent the time with me, not just to like drop the truth bomb and move on, but to actually talk to me about it, and just to take time to let me know and set me on the right course. So I was not upset with her for telling me the truth. I was also not upset at being type 3. I said in my last Dressing Your Truth video, when I was kind of explaining me starting out with Dressing Your Truth, that I've done a lot of healing work, and I know myself and I love myself, and it wasn't like, oh no, I don't want to be type 3. I know the type 3-ness about me. I just thought it was my secondary. And in fact, I actually think it's hilarious now that I ever thought I was a type 2. Now that I've done so much more learning and really understanding kind of why I thought I was type 2, it's so obvious I'm not a type 2. Like, I think it's hilarious that I could miss that. And yeah, so it wasn't about not liking type 3 or not wanting to be type 3. That's not it at all. I was so devastated because I felt like I couldn't trust myself. I felt like I said, I do know myself, and I felt like I could trust myself, and I was so sure that I was type 2, and then when I was told that that wasn't true, I just felt like I just can't even trust myself. Like, do I even know myself? And that really, really upset me. The other reason I felt so upset and so kind of devastated is I felt like my safety was being taken away from me. Like, type 2 was my safe space and my defense mechanism, and that was being taken away from me. And that just left me reeling. I felt exposed. I felt scared. It was, I know this sounds melodramatic to you, but I also know that some of you will relate to this who have possibly had the same experience or may have the same experience. So that was my experience. Whether it sounds melodramatic to you or not, that is how I felt. And I could not have felt worse on Thursday. It was like I was grieving. It was horrible. I had the roughest day. And I reread the type 3 chapter in It's Just My Nature, Carol's book, and again, it's crystal clear that I'm type 3. Like, I knew that was in me. I just thought it was my secondary. And you may have noticed a question that I phrased very poorly to her at the end of the video because my mind was just all over the place. I was trying to ask her, how do you keep your primary and secondary in check when your secondary keeps wanting to push forward and take over? Because that is what I'd been experiencing. My 3-ness kept wanting to come forward because that's what I am. It wasn't my secondary at all. And I even phrased it, because I was so confused, I even made the Freudian slip of saying, when your primary wants to come forward, it is my primary, it was never my secondary. And as much as I loved type 2 and it felt safe and comforting, I just loved diving into that, I had begun feeling tired. I didn't know if it was related to that or not, because I do have other health issues. I haven't been sleeping well. It's school holidays, it's summer, so yeah, may or may not be related, but I can promise you if I'd carried on in type 2, sooner or later I would have started craving rich color. And speaking of, that is another main reason why I was so upset. I had this idea in my head of what type 3 clothing and style and fabrication and the 5 elements of style, I had an idea of what that was, and I didn't want to borrow it. I didn't like it. I liked the styles on other people and the colors on other people, but I didn't want them for me. I just thought, am I going to be forced to wear these things that I just don't like and just I'm not comfortable in? And that was the main thing that was upsetting me, was I kind of felt like I understood the type 2 style, which is so silly because it isn't one style, and I've mentioned that before too, but I thought I understood the type 3 style and I didn't like it. So let me grab my card from my style guide. So these are the colors, and you'll notice there's very warm tones, golden undertones, and a lot of kind of like these sort of colors, and I'm just not drawn to that. And then the 5 elements for design 9 is triangles, squares, points, angles, asymmetrical or swift lines in any part of the garment. Texture feels grainy, bumpy, rough, ribbed with the heaviest weave. Fabrication is medium to firm weight fabrics firm enough to hold the shape of the garment well and feel substantial and strong on the body. For patterns, it's dynamic patterns with angular shapes, swift lines, asymmetrical placement that avoid blending in the designs, medium contrast in color combinations, and the color is shade pure color plus black, appears dirty or has a deep jewel effect. Oh, and the metals are rich gold, bronze, copper, and brass. And I looked at all of that and I just thought, I can't picture myself wearing heavy fabrics and all these asymmetrical lines, and I thought I knew what it was about and I didn't like it. So I just felt absolutely lost. I felt so lost. I thought, how do I even go forward? What do I even put on my body when I wake up in the morning? And Carol actually spent some time chatting with me on Instagram and sending me photos of my own outfits, showing me these design elements in my own outfits. Maybe the color was wrong, but I had fabrication right, or I had pattern right, or I was on the right track, and that helped so much. She also sent me examples of other people's type 3 outfits that kind of more aligned with my style. She pointed out that Sarah, who is one of the Dressing Your Truth experts, is a type 3 with a secondary 2, and I may like her style, and I love the things she wears. She'd always caught my eye, and I've always liked her outfits, and that was hugely reassuring, that I was like, oh, okay, I can figure out my version of type 3. I'm so grateful that Carol also gifted me a month of lifestyle access, so I could get in there and learn more about all of these design elements and figure out how I was going to move forward with finding my own type 3 style. So on Friday, I woke up feeling a little bit better, and I just dove into lifestyle, and I started watching everything, and I started learning. And also I had switched from the type 2 Facebook group to the type 3 Facebook group, and I could look at people's outfits there, and I could look at their versions of blue or their versions of pink, and such an array of different styles. Of course I could find my own style, and I'm going to, and that's probably going to take some time, but it's reassuring to me to know that I didn't have it completely wrong, because that really kind of shook me, that I didn't have that fashion sixth sense. And I was like, I've got none of this in my closet. Like, how could I've not been, I don't know, how do I express this? I was confused that if this is who I am, where's my fashion sixth sense? Why have I not been buying items that have these elements? And the more I learned about it, the more I understood that when the design element says design line, triangles, squares, points, angles, asymmetrical or swift lines in any part of the garment, an angle could literally mean a v-neck. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's not like this really edgy, asymmetrical, angled jacket that I would never want to buy. It's a v-neck. And when I started to understand that, and understand that texture, grainy, bumpy, rough, ribbed with the heaviest weave, doesn't mean like really thick, heavy, cumbersome fabrics that are rough and scratchy. It could mean tweed. I've always loved tweed. Or it could mean a cable knit jumper, or it could mean a waffle weave t-shirt. I love texture. So I started to understand, and then I was like, oh, okay, I feel so much relief, like this is something that is in me. And when I looked through my closet, and the huge Dressing Your Truth type 2 haul that I uploaded recently, a lot of that is actually type 3 and not type 2 at all. And so then that reassured me to think, okay, so that sixth sense has been there. If you're interested, I will film another video a bit further down the line talking about how I develop my type 3 style, because I have a lot of thoughts on that, and a lot of things I've learned, and looking back at outfits I used to put together and put on my blog years ago, seeing type 3 elements there. I don't know, if that's something that interests you, please let me know and I will share. Otherwise I will just save that for myself or share in the type 3 Facebook group that I'm in. But if you want to know how I navigate my way through finding and interpreting my type 3 style, please let me know in the comments. Not coming at you as any sort of expert, as we have all learned today. I know very little and I actually don't know what I'm doing, but I don't know if any of us does, and we're all going to be figuring our own style out. And yeah, I'm excited to move forward and do that for myself. You may be wondering what I'm going to do with all of those supposedly type 2 clothes that I've just bought. Like I mentioned, actually quite a lot of them are type 3, and the ones that aren't, I am going to be doing some refashioning. I actually put out a whole bunch of different tubs yesterday and labeled them tea dyeing, dyeing with turmeric, bleaching, dyeing with some dyes that I've ordered online, like proper actual clothing dyes, and some just to clear away and go, that they're not gonna work. I took a whole bunch of clothes and I did a bleach test on the inside of one of the hems, and I made sure to put the bleach on the fabric and the stitching to see could I bleach it. I actually bleached a bunch of black things not so long ago, and they all went this color. Where's my thing? They all went pretty much this color. When you bleach black, they very often got orange or like brownish orange. So anyway, so I wanted to test which items could I actually bleach, and if they would bleach well with the stitching bleach as well, because very often, in fact almost always, that doesn't happen. So I do have some black items that I've bleached and they've gone like a brownish orange, but the stitching is still black. Anyway, all that to say, I have plans to refashion a lot of the clothes that I bought that is not quite suitable, and then a bunch to clear out. And in terms of clearing out, I'm hoping to organize a clothes swap party. Don't know how that's going to happen or when that's going to happen. I know that there's a place in New Plymouth, or a group in New Plymouth, that holds them a couple times a year. So even if I don't organize my own, I'm hoping to go to that. So all of the clothes that I am clearing out, hopefully I'll be able to trade for more suitable items. So Saturday, I woke up feeling even better. I was like, okay, I think I can figure this out. I did a lot more learning, spent a lot of time in lifestyle. I actually took nowhere to get school shoes, and I went practice shopping. So I thought I'll look around the shops and see if I can spot these design elements in clothes that catch my eye, that I actually like. And I felt like such a newbie. I felt so kind of lost. Like, I think this is right, but is it right? I should have just taken my style kit with me. I just forgot to take it with me. That's literally why it exists, to make shopping easier. But I didn't. But I did end up buying one top and brought it home, and it's the right color, and it has, you know, enough of the design elements that it will work. And yeah, I felt a lot better kind of on Saturday as well, and I was doing like practice shopping online, pinning. So again, I have a Pinterest board of my interpretation of type 3 outfits that I will link below, and type 3 pieces. Grant actually said to me, oh, I noticed you had a Pinterest board up on your computer, and those are really nice things. And I was like, they are nice things. They're things that I like, and they're things that tick the boxes for type 3. And it just gave me reassurance, and it made me feel like, oh, this is something I can be excited about, and I'm looking forward to developing my style, and I do have those instincts. Sunday, I woke up with so much joy and excitement. I was like, let's do this. So that is where I am now. I'm feeling excited about developing my type 3 style. I was actually surprised at how much I could pull out of clothes that I'd packed away and put right back in my closet. And yeah, to realize that I'm not completely lost. I'm not as lost as I felt. And yeah, I'm feeling good about moving forward, and feeling super sheepish and embarrassed about ever thinking that I was type 2. So like I said, I reread the type 3 chapter, and to me it's so obvious that I'm type 3 that I was like, how could I think I was ever type 2? So I reread the type 2 chapter, and if you look at the actual keywords for type 2, I'm not in a lot of that. I ticked all the ones because I've got a physical paperback book of the It's Just My Nature. When you order the style kit, you get your kit with all your cards. I've shown it before. And you get the audiobook and you get the ebook. But I paid a little bit extra to get the paperback copy as well. So when I read through the type 3 chapter, for the keywords, I ticked all of the ones that applied to me. And it was well more than half of them. When I read through the type 2 chapter, when you actually look at the keywords, not a lot of those apply to me. I'm not soft and I'm not subtle, which are the two main words for type 2. But when I actually read through the information in the chapter, I related to about half of it. So that also kind of made me feel better. I could understand and kind of forgive myself for mistyping myself, because I do have a lot of those traits as described in the chapter, and I could understand why I related so much to it and why I thought I was type 2. I do want to mention facial profiling, by the way. She asked me if I'd done any facial profiling when trying to figure out my type, and I kind of had, but here's how I went about it. I think it was more like a confirmation bias thing. Like, I really think I'm type 2, and then looking for the type 2 features in my face. Like, I don't have much of a jawline or chin at all. That's type 2. I've got a very straight nose. I don't have any bumps or lumps or anything. Things like that I could look for type 2 features in my face. She may see this video or not, I don't know, and she may be like, that's not a type 2 feature. But I interpreted it as a type 2 feature. And I looked at my photos of when I was a child while I watched the type 2, like confirming your type 2 child or baby photo video. You guys know the one I mean. The video about how to look for a type 2 features in a baby or child. I watched that video while I looked at photos of myself as a child, and I saw those things in my face. So I don't know if it was just a confirmation bias thing, or I don't know. Clearly I'm not any good at facial profiling, but I did want to mention there that it wasn't something that I completely discounted. It was something I tried to do, but I did it poorly, and I completely ignored the very obvious type 3 features in my face, or attributed them to it being my secondary. Like, duh. Anyway, that's what I wanted to mention about the facial profiling. That is where I am now. Sorry that this video is a million years long, and a huge thank you again to Carol for reaching out to me, for taking the time to have that call with me and to set me on the right path, and so early in my Dressing Your Truth experience as well. I'm so grateful. What a privilege that is, and it's not one that I take lightly. I feel kind of vulnerable sharing this video with you. It felt like an intimate experience, but I wanted to share it because I know I'm not alone. There's going to be other people out there who have mistyped themselves, or who are wondering, or have been corrected and felt it was a very emotional experience. I don't know. I just wanted to share this with you as part of sharing my excitement about Dressing Your Truth and sharing my experience. This is very much a big part of it, so I couldn't not share it with you. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want Dressing Your Truth information, it will be in the description box down below. Click those links, check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.